I'm Brooke Cormier, I'm a full-time artist, and these are the top 3 worst experiences of my art career. So let's get started. These experiences are in chronological order, but I did save the worst for last. To kick things off, let's go all the way back to my first year of painting full-time. The year was 2016. This might have actually been early 2017, but anyway. I was a budding artist filled with excitement at the prospect of making a full-time career from my passion. I had just started a mentorship with Canadian artist Tim Packer, and he was showing me the ropes on how to run an art business and encouraged me to join a local art association as a way to network with other artists and have an artistic community. At my very first meeting, as I mingled amongst the other artists, I was eventually introduced to the president of the association at the time. I introduced myself, told him I had just graduated university and had dreams of becoming a full-time artist, to which he responded, "You better find yourself a sugar daddy." A passing comment, perhaps not entirely malicious in intent, however, it did stick with me. And looking back, it makes me a bit sad to think that somebody could be so dissatisfied with their own career that they would feel compelled to project that negativity with some misogynistic undertones onto a young female artist. Sometimes people don't realize the weight that their words carry, and it's a shame because if it hadn't been for the other supportive people in my life and my "F you, I'ma do it anyway" attitude, then a comment like this could have potentially changed the entire course of my future. Luckily, I googled his art when I got home and I realized, oh, that's why he's so bitter. But seriously, what this experience taught me is that sometimes people will try and give you advice or little nuggets of wisdom, and we have to realize that it's not always coming from a place of love. Some people are unhappy with their situations and they can't help but to pass on that pessimistic attitude to others. And it's our job to realize that and say, Speaking from experience, I know that this can be more easily said than done. We can often struggle to find the inner strength that will help guide us to a happier life. This is where therapy can be an invaluable tool. Which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easier and a lot less intimidating for many people. It lets you have therapy sessions as a phone call, as a video chat, or even messaging, whatever's the most comfortable version of therapy for you. You can join over 4 million people who've used BetterHelp to start living a happier and healthier life. Just click the link in the description, or visit betterhelp.com/BrookeCormier. To get started, you fill out a questionnaire that will ask you questions about what challenges you're going through and what kind of therapist you'd like. And in most cases, you'll be matched with a therapist within 48 hours. What's also great about BetterHelp is you can schedule your therapy sessions at times that are convenient for you. And if you feel like your therapist isn't a great fit, you can switch your therapist with the click of a button in your settings at no additional cost. So if this sounds like something that could be helpful for you, click the link in the description. It helps support this channel and it also gets you 10% off your first month at BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. And moving on to number 2 of the top worst experiences of my art career. This is when we move into online/social media territory where things get real scary. In the summer of 2017, I created a very special painting that remains my biggest to date. It was called Galeri Lake Island, Algonquin Park. Little to my knowledge, somebody had taken this photo that I had posted on my Instagram and reposted it to Reddit, and it made it to the front page. I had no idea what Reddit was at the time, but this turned out to be quite a pivotal point in my career. All this attention had a snowball effect on my art social media pages, and within 8 months, I gained 100,000 followers on Instagram and somewhere close to that on Facebook too. I was encouraged to do an AMA, Ask Me Anything, on Reddit, the platform where it all started. So I made an account and I set up an AMA titled, "I am Brooke Cormier, a 24-year-old Canadian artist made internet famous in my first year of painting full-time. Ask me anything. But don't ask me what constitutes internet fame." Anyway, I advertised for this AMA on my Instagram and told my followers that if they'd like to participate, they can log in on March 30th, 2018 at noon Eastern Standard Time. The questions flowed in and I spent hours writing out long and detailed answers for all the participants. I was really pleased with how the whole thing went. Everybody was being super nice and asking me art-related questions, and I genuinely felt like my insight was providing some value. How naive of me. The next morning I woke up to many messages and comments along the lines of,
"What the heck happened to your AMA yesterday?"
And I was like,
What do you mean? I thought it went super well.
Until I checked the thread again and all the top comments looked a little something like this. So here's where things get interesting. Like me, many of my Instagram followers had never used Reddit before, but they still wanted to participate in the AMA, so what did they do? Well, they made a new account, silly. The thing is, on Reddit you can see on a person's profile when their account was created, so what happened was, a group of internet trolls stumbled upon my happy little AMA and basically decided to take a huge dump on it. They saw all these new accounts that were asking me questions and came to the conclusion that it was I who created all these accounts to ask myself questions in a pathetic attempt to gain popularity. And boy, were they ruthless. I had someone call me a dumb a troll, and a well-paid narcissist who seems to think that lying is the only way to garner attention. And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, someone with too much time on their hands made a whole new thread on a special place on the internet called AMA Disasters and called it Artist Makes an AMA Using Tons of Fake Accounts and Asks Herself Questions Because Nobody Else Would. One person accused me of being insulting for claiming that I was from Singapore and then proceeding to ask myself a question in broken English to appear more convincing. It's just
So crazy!
You know what? I'm gonna link both of the threads below if you also want a good laugh, but I was not laughing at the time. As I sat on my bed crying into my mom's shoulder, she softly told me, "Brooke, any publicity is good publicity." And though I don't fundamentally believe that, she turned out to be right. A few days later, I got an order on my online shop for nearly $4,000 worth of my artwork, and when I asked the customer where they had found my work, this is what they responded. Had it not been for this AMA disaster experience, this person would have never discovered and supported my work. So that was a big fat silver lining to this terrible experience. Lessons learned here: though social media is a wonderful tool for artists, it can also be a very dark and scary place. I realized pretty quickly that if I was going to keep up a presence online, I'd better get some thicker skin. Haters gonna hate, you know? Don't you wish your earrings were all handmade? Worst experience of my art career number 3. And honestly, this is just the worst experience of my career. Let me take you back to the year 2020. I was living in Vienna, Austria at the time, and in January I started my 12-month series consisting of 12 60 by 80 centimeter oil paintings representing each month of the year as I see it in nature. I finished the first painting of the series in mid-February, put it up for sale on my website, and it quickly sold. I informed the customer that the painting would need a few more weeks to dry before I could ship it to the US.
No problem,
He said, except there was a problem, because a couple weeks later, a little something called the COVID-19 pandemic came a-knockin' and the entire country shut down, including the post office. Austrian Post could no longer ship to the US, along with around 200 other countries, and I had no idea when these restrictions would be lifted. Luckily, my customer was very understanding and was willing to wait. In the meantime, I finished the second painting in my series and sold that one to a Canadian collector in early April. But the restrictions had not yet lifted, and I was now sitting on 2 sold paintings, which felt a little uncomfortable for me. Finally, the post office opened again and I was able to ship both of the paintings on May 16th, 2020. Finito, right?
wrong.
Because 2 weeks later I checked the status of each package and they had still not left Austria. What the heck, right? So I made an inquiry with the post office, who informed me that shortly after the post finally opened, there was a COVID outbreak in a local distribution center which caused a giant backup in the delivery process, and there was no way of knowing when things would get moving again. Okay, unfortunate, but understandable. We'll just have to wait. And wait we did. Months.
And months. And months of waiting.
In the meantime, I opened an investigation with Austrian Post where I was receiving no updates whatsoever on the whereabouts of my paintings. This became a dark cloud of stress and suspense that hung over me for 5 months. It got to the point where I didn't feel right holding these people's money when I didn't know if the paintings would ever arrive. So I issued both of them a refund, a total of nearly $8,000 in 2 months of work. Poof. What's worse is that because of the language barrier, I didn't fully understand what insurance coverage I was getting on the paintings, and it turns out it was only covered up to 100 euros. Austrian Post said they would no longer be looking into my case, and that was it. But it just didn't make sense to me how 2 huge packages with clear delivery and return addresses could just vanish out of thin air. So I did some investigative work of my own. My partner's mom had a friend on the inside of Austrian Post, and what he dug up was worse than I ever imagined. Apparently, after the restrictions were lifted at the post office, there was a massive influx of packages coming in, so much so that they didn't have space to store them all. So what did they do? They left them outside, exposed to the elements, and then after some rainfall, they threw them in a dumpster. At least if they had been stolen, I could rest easy knowing that they were hanging in some criminal's home. Thinking about those paintings in a landfill is just... And now it's been almost 4 years and they are still missing, likely to never be uncovered again. Unless by some slim chance they were stolen. And if you're the thief and you're watching this, enjoy those bad boys, you son of a... Lessons learned here, don't be a dingus and just get your paintings fully insured. You never know when a global pandemic might cause your packages to be thrown out into the rain like a piece of trash. But seriously, I learned this lesson the hardest way possible, and I can confidently say that when it comes to insuring your artwork, it's better safe than sorry. Anyway, at least I got the paintings professionally photographed before I shipped them, so now I'm able to sell fine art prints of them, which are available on my website along with my handmade jewelry, like if you're interested. Now I would like to end this video with a quote by renowned singer-songwriter and philosopher Kelly Clarkson. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I learned some lessons from these terrible experiences, and I hope that after watching this video you feel inspired to take some of the crappy things that happened to you and turn them into a
learning experience.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for your support. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope it's all good experiences for you from here on out. With the click of a button, you can like this video, you can subscribe to my channel, and if you want to put in a little bit more effort, you can also write me in the comments and maybe tell me what your worst experience of your art career has been and what you learned from it. I'm Brooke Cormier, and I'll see you next time.